Hey everybody, Sebastian Maniak here today. In this video, what we're going to do is we are going to configure ChatGPT desktop. We're going to set up our agent gateway to be able to proxy our LLM traffic through it so we can see cost analysis, token usage, and token spend um, of our users. And we're going to ensure that everybody is authenticated through Entra. So when we do look at logs and analysis, you're going to be able to see who and what and how they're sending it within the Agent Gateway UI. So let's jump in. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to set up Entra. So the first step we need to do is log into our Microsoft Entra account. As you can see, I have in here and set up an app registration for Codex. I already have one set up in here, but we'll just recreate it just so you can see how it's done. It's super straightforward. You're going to click on new registry. You're going to type in Codex in here. We're going to select public client and native path. And all we're going to do is type in the local, what's it called? The local address that, or the local public URL that we have to configure in here itself. So that's going to be HTTP, just loop back, callback, just for our demo. Whatever the one you're going to have in production, you'll put in there yourself. So once we've registered that application, all we need to do is make sure we copy the client ID or the application ID here. We're going to need the tenant ID, and that's it. So the next step, once we have Entra set up, is we need to install Agent Gateway itself. So what you're going to do is just go to agentgateway.dev. You can click on the Get Started guide on the bottom. And all we're going to do is copy this URL. And once you have the URL pasted, we can then just open up our terminal, paste this in, and install the latest version of Agent Gateway standalone itself. Once Agent Gateway is installed, we can now create a config file and start configuring Agent Gateway. So now with Agent Gateway installed, what we're going to do is open a VS Code, and I'm going to show you some of the configurations that you're going to be able to pull off my GitHub repo so you can get this working for yourself. So let's open up VS Code, and really let's dive in here. So we have three files inside here. We have the config.yaml. So we have the cost.openai, and we have the Entra token SH key itself. So you're going to run this to be able to authenticate as an AZ account, right? So we'll show you how this works. So the configuration file is pretty straightforward. Our admin is going to be running on port 1500. We're going to store everything in a database so we could have cost analysis. We are pulling the latest cost JSON file from models.dev, and I'm just importing it in here on the price and the cost of the models. And then we're going to set some standard attributes, right? So we're going to have two cell expressions that put the human name and in the cost report. So once we see the analysis inside the report, we're going to be able to identify who and what roles they are. So we're going to get emails, roles, the groups that they belong to. Then we're going to set up our LLM model. So we're going to be using OpenAI, and I'm just going to drop this in my environment variables. Also, with the setup of Entra, we had the Entra tenant ID and the client ID, or aka application ID. So we're going to fill that in here with environment variables itself. So with that, let's go ahead and apply our environment variables, and then let's deploy Agent Gateway locally on a laptop. So the next step is let's take this Entra ID and client ID and export the data, also our OpenAI environment variables, and export this data um, for itself. So let's open up the terminal, and we'll do that right now. So we're going to do export and then our tenant ID. export our Entra client ID, which is also the application ID. And then we're going to export our OpenAI key, which I'm not going to show you because mine is. So export yours and paste it in there itself. Once we've done this, then we can then we can configure Agent Gateway and then start the application itself. All right, so the next step that we have to do is we have to configure our Codex configuration file. It's pretty straightforward if we take a look at Codex config.toml. What you're going to see is you're going to need to configure your model provider. So I'm going to just have Agent Gateway itself. This already should be already configured inside your environment, but you can change it if you want. Then you have to configure your model provider dot agent gateway. So for your profile, you can give it a name. I'm just calling it OpenAI versus via agent gateway. Then what we want to do is set our local base URL. So this is the proxy URL where our agent gateway is going to proxy our LLM on port 4000. Then what's really critical is this authentication, so authorization for Entra. This will ensure that when we log in, we get the request from Entra app ID, and we can authenticate the user and see all that information inside of the app itself. So this example is going to be inside of the repo in the comments below. So now that we have that configured, we have our Entra set up, we can actually do agent gateway, oops, -f config, and now agent gateway is going to be started for us itself. So if we open up our browser, here, and we're going to go to localhost 1500, we're going to have agent gateway displayed. So the UI for our OSS. Everything that we configured in that config file is going to be right here. We have our OpenAI provider configured. We have our analytics. We have no data in here right now, which is fine. Any logs are going to be configured in here. We can take a look at the raw configuration, and we can see the same thing that we just deployed, our client ID, our Entra ID, our OpenAI key. Everything is configured inside this mode. So the next step we're going to do, let's open up our ChatGPT app and make some requests and see what goes through. All right, ChatGPT app is open in here. Let's just go to new chat session. I have selected model 5.5 in here, but let's quickly ask, hey, what is the square root of 128? So now what's going to make, it's going to make a call through agent gateway because we can see here on the bottom, OpenAI via agent gateway. Of course, we got the answer. So let's quickly validate if everything went through agent gateway. So let's open up the UI. We'll click on analytics, and I'm just going to click on the last hour here and click on the apply button. I've made tons of different calls as I have agents always running through my stuff. So we can see that, 4:41 p.m. I just made a call that was 18,000 tokens itself was spent. I can take a look at the cost and understand that, that cost 20 cents, or the set of my tokens in this set of time cost me 20 cents. Those calls cost me 9 cents to make through ChatGPT 5.5. If I have more data going in through here, I can see different providers. I can see different models that I can use. I can see specific users. So I just made a request through myself. So I see my user Sebastian in here going through. I can create different platforms. So part of the groups is I'm part of the AI platform team itself. I have specific agents. So in this time, I'm using Codex, and I can definitely just view Codex time. So the more we pump, the more data, the more agents, the more calls we push through here, the more you're going to be able to see inside Agent Gateway, and the more you're going to be able to select policies, um, limit the models that the users or your agents are using for, and then have the analytics for cost and token spend, and also have the logs that were outputted in here because we could see all the logs that I've made throughout the entire demo of making this video, and we can kind of dive in and say, okay, cool, what was done? Hey, what is the square root of 128? Here's the input output tokens. Here's the cost. Here's how much reasoning cost me. Here's how much input and output cost. And we can also see the entire conversation of what was happening from the skills, the subagents, and all the data we need to analyze the environment itself. So every call I'm making now is authenticated through Entra using ChatGPT application and is all proxied through Agent Gateway. So I will have the repo and the code in the comments below and inside the description of this video. Hopefully you like this. Definitely subscribe, hit the like button,